We've had a lot of different people, from entrepreneurs to people who are, in their early stage of startups, to the later stage, making tons of money, to even some of us who've spoken. And so two of the students, Sammy and John, are going to talk a little bit about their favorite speaker and then what they liked from it.
Okay.
2 minutes.
So, actually, I think my favorite speaker was the one we had today. Today, Jeremy Blum came to see us. He was actually an instructor here last year, so it was good for BlueStamp to have him back. And Jeremy went to Cornell and he studied electrical engineering undergrad and graduate school. And I really look up to him because he's so young and he's accomplished so much, and in the amount of time that he's had, it's so incredible that he's done so much. He's built hundreds of really cool projects like these, but on a much more advanced level. He made his own startup company, and he's actually going to work for Google soon. So he's quite an accomplished person already, and I really admire him for that. And I've learned a lot from hearing him speak today, and hearing him. So yeah.
Thanks, Sammy. John, you want to step up? Sorry.
Yeah. So I would have spoken about Jeremy Blum and Sammy took him because Jeremy's a real, he's like a real role model. But I'll talk about someone else, someone who came a long time ago, like in the beginning of the program. I forgot his name. I think it was Peter Kong.
Okay.
So he's an entrepreneur. He's the principal. I think that's his actual title of his company called Merrill NY, which what they do is they design websites. But the reason why I found him so interesting was that he majored in history. So he actually didn't go to school for computer science. And the only reason why he knows how to do all this stuff is because he said he used to do this on his free time when he was younger. And I find it so interesting how, like, he didn't even study this stuff, and now he has a business on it, and now he supports himself. And it's also interesting because he was the first and probably one of the only like actual tech entrepreneurs that came from the city. And it was interesting, like, how they work, because he talked about how it's a small community and they hang out with each other, all the people who work there, how they like have lunch together and all that. And it was really interesting to see actual entrepreneur come and speak to us.
So we have all the lectures and all the speakers up on the YouTube channel. His BlueStamp space ENG. So if you YouTube that, you can see all the lectures, the speakers, and so forth. These guys saw. So with that, thank you both of you for your experiences. And there's plenty more if these guys had to pick too. Sammy, your project. Go for it.
Okay, so I'll start off with my starter project. I actually don't have it here, I have it at home, but I see a few other people did the same starter project as me. It was a crawling microbug, looks like this. And basically it's a little robot that it follows light, so if you put a flashlight, if you point the flashlight right in front of it, it'll follow the flashlight fairly accurately. So that's a cool little project. I'm glad I did that. It was just some good soldering practice and things like that. So for my main project, I made this pad, as you can see. It's actually a pad that you put into a refrigerator, and it has 4 little quarters on it, quadrants, and you could put a food item on each quadrant. And it has weight sensors on the bottom here. They're called Flexiforce sensors. And basically, I made a program to run on this little microcomputer here called the Raspberry Pi. So that whenever the food item on each quadrant is running low, it will update a grocery list on a website that I developed. So I'm going to put this down and demonstrate it. This project was not in the project booklet. It was actually my sister's idea, and I really liked the idea because it was something not only that's fun to make, fun to use, but it actually has a practical implementation. And I could see it as being something that could be marketed in the future. So I wanted to do something cool like that. And also, I looked it up online and I didn't find any tutorials on it. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to try to figure out how to do it all on my own. So now I'm going to try to demonstrate it. So I'm going to use this roll of electrical tape, which is a little bit heavy to signify a heavy food item or a full food item. And I'm going to put it on I guess this pad right here. Now I'm gonna go onto the website. So you can see it's a very simple main menu. So if you go to the grocery list right now, you can see it says that the grocery list is empty. Then you go back to the menu and go into the pads menu. You can see that it shows what's currently on each pad. I just put random things on there, and has text boxes so you can input any new product whenever you put it on the pad. And it also shows on the bottom your previously used items, just for it's a little handy. So I put the roll of tape on pad number 1. So I'm going to type into pad number 1, let's say those bananas, just for an example, and I'll submit it. Okay, now if I run the program on the Raspberry Pi, just connect it to my laptop wirelessly. If I run it, it takes a few seconds to load. The Wi-Fi is a little slow here. Okay, I guess while it's loading, I'll talk a little about the problems I had. So, really, some of the biggest problems were getting the Wi-Fi to work with the Raspberry Pi. I think it would have been easier if I was using my home network, because this was harder because it actually had a password once you log into the Wi-Fi. So it was a little complicated to get that working since I didn't have a screen. It would have been easier if I had a screen to use with the computer. So I had to try to figure out the IP address in tons of different ways, and it really didn't work out so well that way. Okay, so I see the program's running now. So to show, instead of actually diminishing this roll of tape, I'm just going to replace it with this empty box, which is much lighter. And now, after around 10 seconds, the program's going to register that something that the weight was decreased. So while that's happening, also, I guess some more problems I had was I had to figure out a way to stick each quadrant onto the bottom board. Everything's made out of polycarbonate without actually interfering with the sensor. And I tried to use epoxy, and it actually worked pretty well with the sensor, but then it snapped off. So I tried more epoxy, and it works for now. So I'm hoping that's going to stay. I have to treat it delicately, though. So now I'm going to log back onto the website. And let's check the grocery list. And as you can see, bananas is now on the grocery list. Because that's what I put on the pad and on the website. So this is the grocery list and how it works, and you can also remove things from the grocery list once you replenished your stock. And now it says your grocery list is up. So that's how it works. Any questions? Dave?
Can you set the sensitivity or the expected weight of each item?
Yeah, so right now I have it set at a specific threshold. Just from what I've seen coming from the sensors, what reading from the sensor is pretty close to little to no weight. But my plans for the future, I want to make it the sensors accurate enough by using an amplifier so that it could actually convert whatever you put onto it into the measurement into pounds. And so it could be an accurate scale and then much more accurate detect when you're running low on your food items. I don't think, I really not sure how to do that right now. I'd have to do some research on that. And also plans for the future, I want to make it eventually so that you could order food items directly from the website, so that instead of having to go all the way to a grocery store, you could just do it from the website when you're running low. Yeah.
Are you seeing this as something that would come, that you would work with a refrigerator company to have that installed before you buy it, or is it something you would buy and then add into your refrigerator?
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that. I actually heard recently that a full refrigerator company is trying to use this technology, but I think I like my idea better because instead of having to buy a whole new refrigerator, you could just buy one pad. You know, the parts altogether costed maybe $200, probably less. So if this were to be marketed, you could just buy a single pad and use it on one shelf instead of buying a whole refrigerator, and you can install it anytime you like.
I love this. I needed it this morning when I ran out of milk. Is this commercially available? Or is this,
I don't think so.
you know,
Not
that's
that
great.
I've
It's a great idea.
seen.
You have to make everyone sign a non-disclosure.
I'm doing that after this session. Yeah.
Have you thought about using, connecting it with an app to a phone? Because that way somebody at work would be able to look at it and see
Right.
they have to pick milk up. And
Yeah, I originally was going to make an app, but I wasn't so familiar with the programming language needed to make apps. I'm pretty familiar with a different programming language, which I was able to use to make a website. So if I might try to make an app in the future, but the website is good because I can also access it from my phone if I just go on the browser, and it shows up pretty clearly on my phone. So I think that would work too.
How hard was this? You've never done it before.
It took a lot of research. I think once I knew what I was doing, it wasn't so hard. The hardest part was figuring out what I had to do, and it was actually hard when I got the parts. I had to make sure that what I originally thought would work would actually work. I really wasn't sure because I'd never tested it before. I'd never done this before. So it turned out to work for the most part. There were a few bugs here and there, but I got it to work in the end. So really the hardest part was just researching and figuring out what to do.
Is this website only for you, or could like I go online and find your grocery list?
So yeah, you could actually go online and find out my grocery list. I advise you not to do that. Yeah.
Have you thought about adding a scanner that could read a barcode or a QR code to automate your input for what your items are?
Yeah, so that's what I heard is being incorporated into the high-end refrigerator. That was long after I, first came up with the idea for my pad and had everything ready. So I guess if I had thought of it earlier, I might have incorporated it, but that would also be more expensive and more time-consuming. So I think that from a marketing standpoint, this is cheaper and it's still a viable option to just enter it from the website. Yeah.
Do you think you would end up working with a designer to make it look kind of fancy and get a name for it, or is that something that you would enjoy doing on your own?
I really don't know. It might be something that I would try to do in the future on my own. If a company maybe approached me, I might work with them. I really have no idea.
Can you take one more question? Scott?
Oh, wait, yeah.
My question is, when's the first delivery date?
Shipping in 3 weeks. Actually.
Awesome.
Wow.
Look at your entrepreneur.